decisions made that long ago. But these kids, man, they can type with 2 thumbs faster than I can type with 10 fingers. And sitting at my desk, I see them walking by every day, and they're all looking at their phones. There'll be 2 of them walking side by side instead of talking to each other. Well, maybe they are talking to each other. But and if they're not chatting on their cell phones, they have the earbuds in, you know, and you ask them, can I help you find a book? And you realize, you know, this kid's not ignoring me, he can't hear me. And you know, it's not until you tap him on the shoulder and scare him. And then, oh, excuse me, oh yeah, no, I'm fine, I need help you. And so I started thinking, I wanted to write this book about this generation, and the way I went about it was to think, well, what would happen if these kids had all that taken away from them for a couple of weeks? Because that's what happened to us. In my neighborhood, 2 weeks without power. We were, I'm sure y'all remember, we went to the YMCA to take a hot shower like after a week when my mom was like, okay, time out, you guys smell awful. And we were cooking on our gas grills. I'm sure a lot of you had the same exact experience, and just down trees everywhere and spending, you know, we thought, oh man, we're gonna be out of school for 2 weeks. Yeah, out of school doing like manual labor like we have never done before. And you can't get clean from it, and it was just horrible. So the idea with the hurricane is there's this young boy who lives in this generation. He's more clued in and more tied into the technology than I ever was, and he has all this taken away, and it's in the quiet after the storm that he really finds himself. Meets a girl down the street that he didn't know lived there. And the reason I think this is appropriate to talk at a library event is, and I've been in the, Hugo's not the only storm that I've dealt with. I grew up going to St. Paul's Episcopal Church just around the corner and did all my youth group at First Presbyterian. And in '92, after Hurricane Andrew, we volunteered and went down to Florida and built houses with Habitat for Humanity. And I got to see, I mean, the devastation there. That was a Category 5 storm versus our tropical storm, Hugo. It was unbelievable. And after that, I went through a couple more storms on boats. Hurricane Floyd in Nassau was a Category 5. And that was the first time I was in the eye of a storm. And if you don't know, as bad as a hurricane is, and the eye is the storm itself, that's the low pressure center of the storm. But in the middle of that horrible wall of wind, it is perfectly calm. And you can have the eye pass over and have this, 140-mile-an-hour winds of destruction and then nothing. And you think, you kind of just want to walk with the storm, so you don't have to hit that other wall because it's coming at you. I think of libraries, and for me it was books as a young kid, but libraries are that calm in our life, You come in here, and do we have any librarians in the, yeah? I mean, you guys are like the professional shushers, right? I remember you guys from when I was in here, like I heard that all the time. But you have, it's so nice to have a place where you can get away from that noise. I know libraries now serve a much different purpose. Technology is a part of the heart of the library. It's people coming for internet access, people who can't afford computers can look for jobs. It's a huge resource, but you still have to be quiet. And I think in our lives, and some of the passages I'll read today highlight this, we have so much going on in them that if we don't pick up a book in order to get away from the TV or the internet and just get lost in something quiet, or we don't come to the library to do some studying, whether it's your school library or the public library, then all you really have is noise in your life, so much that you can't discern anything about yourself. And just as Daniel finds himself after a storm knocks out power and takes out his cell phone and devastates his neighborhood, I don't think we have to wait on that to happen. I think we can pick up a good book, decide to sit outside in the garden or come to the library and just have a little bit of quiet and be alone with our thoughts. And, if you're like me, dream up the next book. So I'm going to read several passages, and I might say a little something about them afterwards. And I'd like to leave some time for questions at the end, because the boring story of how I became a writer, I was a yacht captain for a while, and that was where a lot of my adventures were dreamed up. I would love to talk about only what you guys want to hear. So if when I get done with this part, everybody just rushes to the concessions outside, the cookies, I'll know that you guys heard plenty. But if you want to hear about, I had someone ask me questions earlier, and they were such good questions. I was like, can you save those for later? And she's like, I'm too shy. please, because I really want to talk more, but I only want to talk about the things you guys want to hear about. So we'll save time for a Q&A at the end. The first part I'm going to read is just chapter 2. It's at the beginning, and it's just to highlight how technology has pervaded our lives. And I'm a fan of technology, but I'm also a fan of family. And I think there's a way to find balance, and this is just to highlight how I think a lot of households are probably seeing their mornings go right now.